Hello and welcome to ACS Golf and today's review, which has been released on a Friday, which can mean one thing: it is a brand new club for 2025. I'm saying Friday, actually, if you're watching this in the US, I think it actually gets released Thursday afternoon normally, so Thursday afternoon. But anyway, it is a brand new club and it is this. It is a Wilson Dynapwr LS driver. Now, I've wanted to get my hands on one of these for ages to try for the channel. I tried the core model, so the carbon. Also tried the carbon from last year as well. So do check out the channel for those reviews. Great drivers, really worth a go if you've not tried Wilson drivers before. Obviously, they sort of lost their way, you could say, with their drivers over the past couple of years, but this new Dynapwr, the previous Dynapwr range and this Dynapwr range has definitely brought them back up to the top. So some really good stuff. So I really wanted to try the LS to see if it can hang with the big guys, your TaylorMades, your Pings, your Titleists, your Cobras, etc., to see if this is an absolute bomber with a little bit of forgiveness. So there you go. So as always with these reviews, what I'm going to do is we're going to have a closer look at this club, come back here, go for the technologies in it, and then we're going to get down to range, going to throw some figures here, and then come back here for the ACS Golf scale and my overall thoughts about this club. All right, without further ado, let's have a closer look at it. So there you go, and it's a gorgeous looking thing. It's just the whole shape of it. I mean, look at that. It's absolutely gorgeous. Proper low spin, sort of better player driver. Exactly the shape you would be looking for. Not elongated at the back to increase MOI, short stumpy to get all the way to the front to get that low spin bombs. One thing as well, head cover shout out. Really, really nice head cover this year from Wilson. Beautiful, beautiful. My only issue though with this new Dynapwr driver is change the name. I have Dynapwr 2. I don't understand why they've kept the name going. I think they might have changed the spelling of it, but missed out the O in power, but I think that's actually the same in the previous model. So I don't really understand that, but hey, I'm not the guy producing the club, so I'm sure Wilson has a reason for it, but maybe Dynapwr 2 or Dynapwr New or something. Don't complete change name. But anyway, there you go. Great looking thing. They've really, really nailed the aesthetics, Wilson, recently with these clubs. Now, going into the technology that's in this. So first things first, we got a PKR 360. So AI-driven design unique to each model creates more ball speed across the entire face. So it's this idea of AI designed face where you sort of have, multiple sweet spots across the face, just like Callaway, just like all of them are doing nowadays, AI, to improve the forgiveness across the whole face, because obviously they realize amateur golfers such as myself are not going to be hitting this every single time. My miss generally is actually here, which is quite good because it brings me up to a nice high draw. Yeah, so I quite like my miss actually. I don't like when I hit the middle. But I do like it in the middle. That is a complete and utter lie. But yeah, the whole point of it is to have that forgiveness across the whole face. Optimized aerodynamic shaping, as you can see right there, reminds me of the Aerojet from a couple of years ago from Cobra. That very, aerodynamic look there, sort of bulbous at the top and then sort of really sweeps in and meets in the middle there. So a raised skirt and curved crown streamline the shaping, reduce drag and increase club head speed. Can't complain by that. Maximum workability, so swappable front 6 gram weight and back 12 gram weights allow for customizable launch, spin and forgiveness. Obviously their core model, the carbon, I think it is called the carbon, isn't it, at the moment? They have swappable weights as well, so it's not just the LS that does. Their max one, which is their ultimate forgiveness one, which is only titanium face, no carbon in it, that doesn't have a movable weight, but this does. For the majority of this testing, well, all the numbers ready, I did have the 12 gram weight at the back to help with launch. However, I did do a few hits with the 12 at the front, and I will discuss that at the end of the video as well. But you have that adjustability there, which you do with majority of clubs nowadays. I mean, TaylorMade, the QI35 core model that I've been playing all year, has removable weights. They're all doing it. Cobra have had it for a few years now. Callaway had it last year, and I think they removed it this year actually, because they changed the weighting system. But you did have all these removable weights, so you can really dial it in for you. Have the low spin model, but maybe with a little bit more forgiveness of weight at the back, or just an absolute beast at the front with the MOI slightly down, and therefore you would probably suffer from missed hits. Moving on to open hosel construction. So improved weight distribution allows for the removal inefficient. I always enjoy reading these things. I always read them before the videos, and then I guarantee the moment I start reading them, I always make a mistake. But anyway, let's continue. Inefficient material and the creation of a stronger hosel infrastructure. That's been a big thing about drivers this year, is because, obviously we're at the max with these clubs. You can't make them any bigger. You can't have the face any thinner, etc., etc. So what they're trying to do is save as much weight as possible around the club head to place it strategically in the club head to get it to perform a little bit better than the previous year. Does it perform a little bit better than previous year? Well, I've done lots of versus videos. It probably says it doesn't, and a lot of guys now really do that as well. But still, they are trying to make improvements. But obviously, they've hit the max years and years ago now. Well, 2016, I think they hit the max. So it's very difficult to improve on that when you're restricted by the governments and the laws. But anyway, a lot of things this year have removed weight from the hosel. Wilson's not the only one that's done this. To move that weight around. Save the weight there to move extra weight around to get it perform how they want to do. Sound optimized, so precision rib placement throughout the internal body for muted, powerful sound. Again, this is something that's really come up ahead with new drivers this year, and maybe even last year. They're really thinking about the sound, because a lot of people, will associate the sound of a golf club to how they enjoy it. If it's the loudest thing on the earth, it will put some people off. Personally, not the end of the world, but I know a lot of people who, if it's the loudest thing in the world, won't use it. Moving on, tour-inspired 445cc head shape, so 445cc head shape, so deeper, more compact head shaping that is preferred by the best players in the world. So this is very much the better player driver, not 460, 445cc for that better player shape, better looks, to improve the workability of this club as well. The 460 and the MOI, you tend to find the better players drivers a little bit smaller, a bit more compact, to really improve that, basically improve the workability of these clubs. So there you go. But there is an interesting point here. It is on Wilson's website. However, I have read something off Wilson's website before, and it's been wrong. So bear with me when we get to that point, but you might disagree with me. And if you do, let me know in the comments down below. Moving on to adjustable hosel. So you've got 6-way adjustable hosel to optimize face angle and shot shaping. Wilson have just brought this back in recently. With the D7 and D9, you didn't get that. Previous models you did, but not in there. And with this, you can loft it up by 2 degrees and you can loft it down by 1 degree. So this is 9 degrees. I could play at 11, or I could have lofted it down to 8. During the testing, I actually stuck with this at 9 degrees. I didn't need to loft it up or loft it down. I was getting the right launch that I wanted. If anything, maybe I could have gone down with it, to be honest. But yeah, really happy with that. But be aware, as they say there, adjust the hosel to optimize face angle and shot shaping. Unlike your Cobras nowadays, your Titleis's, your Callaways, where you can adjust the face and keep the lie angle the same, changing that will affect the face angle and therefore will potentially affect the ball flight. So be aware. If you want a 10.5 degree head, go and get a 10.5 degree head, because then it'll be very neutral. If anything, actually, this is more fade bias, this driver. So be aware of that as well. So yeah, because, if you're fiddling around with it, then suddenly the lie angle could be different and it could affect the ball flight, which you might have had previously and really enjoyed. So do be aware with that. But yeah, just a heads up, very fade bias this. A lot of reviews have mentioned that as well. This isn't a straight club. This isn't a draw bias club. This is fade bias. It's very much a better player's driver. It's really quite refreshing, to be honest. Moving on to carbon crown and sole. So we got a carbon crown here, and obviously a carbon sole as well. So 58% carbon fiber surface area improves weight distribution. Again, this whole thing, moving the weight around the club head to obviously help with the performance and what they want this club to do. So just getting on to the part where I'm not too sure if this is true, but I'm reading off Wilson's website, so I'm going to say anyway. You can get these in 3 different heads. You can get an 8-degree head, a 9-degree head, which is the only one you get left-handed, by the way, just a warning out there, and I've got the 9-degree head here, and a 10.5-degree head. The 8-degree and the 9-degree is 445cc. The 10.5-degree head here is stating it's 450cc, so a little bit bigger. I mean, you wouldn't notice looking down at it, but just be aware of that. Obviously, the reason they wanted that is because that's the way they wanted that club to perform, and they've obviously had to maybe increase the size of it to get it to perform like the others. And probably with the idea as well, if you're going for 10.5-degree head, you want a little bit more loft, you probably want a little bit more spin, you probably want a little bit more forgiveness. So that's why they've probably done that. But again, as I've mentioned, I've read stuff off Wilson's website before and it has been wrong. And that's the first time I've heard of it being 450cc. All I've heard is 445, so 445cc. I've never heard that the 10.5 is 450. So yes, well, Wilson says it is, so I guess it is. But anyway, there you go. There's all the technology that is in this club. Now, let's get down to range. I'm going to throw some very decent figures at you, and then we're going to come back here for the ACS Golf scale. All right, see you in a bit. Here I am down at the range with the Dynapwr LS. First shot here, going for a fade, and we got it. Really good with that. It just shows the workability of this club, which I would expect. You can hit the high ones, hit the low ones, obviously move it left to right, even though I would say predominantly it wants to go right over left because it is really set up for a fade, which is surprising, which is quite a good thing for someone like me who hits a lot of draws with my stance and can hook it quite a bit as well. So it does actually help for me to keep it a little bit straighter, so happy days. Now, going into numbers, on average I had a carry of 244 yards, total distance of 277 yards, ball speed 157 miles per hour, launch angle 11 degrees and height 68 feet, which just shows, you know, that low spin there. Longest on the day was 265 yards carry, 289 yards, total distance 162 miles per hour, ball speed, launch angle 13, height 89 feet, with the shortest coming at 225 yards carry and 264 yards total distance and a ball speed 153 miles per hour. What I found with this club is really the distances around that 270, 280 mark. However, the forgiveness of it really did drop down into the sort of the 260s, which you'd expect from an LS model. And here's those numbers in a table for you guys. Feel wise, by the way, felt really quite nice, maybe a little bit dull, maybe fancy a little bit more sort of punch off the face. Well, feeling wise anyway, relatively new where my miss hits were, and also looks lovely behind the ball. So generally a really strong performing driver. However, I would not say this is the most forgiving driver, but that's to be expected. So not bad figures at all. Really impressive stuff, to be honest. You know, carry 244 yards on average, total distance 277 yards, ball speed 157 miles per hour, launch angle 11 and height 68 feet, as you'd expect with this low spin driver. Don't get me wrong, I was definitely getting some up there around the sort of 13-15 degree launch and getting the height a little bit higher as well, but there were a few that came out sort of low bullets, as you'd expect with this type of club, which sort of brought that average down a little bit. The longest on the day, as I mentioned, was 265 yards carry, 289 yards total distance, and a ball speed of 162 miles per hour. Launch angle 13 there, so really optimised that launch angle, and a height of 89 feet. So definitely you can see that is a low spinning club, which is exactly what we want. But really happy with it. Shortest on the day, well, obviously wasn't quite the right hit, to be honest. You could tell, again, it was a low spinning club because I only carried 225 yards, with a 13 degrees launch, but it still rolled out, sorry, to 264 yards. You can tell there, ball speed 153 miles per hour, low spin there, and it just kept on rolling. You can tell by the fact that carry was really down, which is absolutely fine. You know, if you're looking for low spin, that's perfect. But obviously, quite a miss hit there for me. Maybe not swinging as fast as I was in the other swings, and then suddenly, you know, it does drop out of the air because this is a low spinning driver, even with the 12 gram at the back. When I put the 12 gram at the front, the ball speed did go up a little bit. Launch I found went down a little bit. Didn't max out that 289, that was definitely the longest, but you could just tell it was just coming out a little bit lower and even with a less spin. So beware of that, and less forgiveness as well. But yeah, overall, really happy with the results. Now, going into the ACS Golf scale, I was just scrolling there because I'm a bit can't decide necessarily on this one, but let's go into, remember, we've got 5 categories. You've got distance, feel, looks, price, and forgiveness. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. Distance. Distance, 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 distance. So that distance is great. 289 yards, cannot complain. Ball speed, 162 maxed out at. 157 on average, a lot around that 160 mark. And a lot around the 280 mark as well, to be fair. A lot like 285, 282, another 285, 279. Definitely the average was brought down a little bit by those miss hits, which we'll get into in a second. So really, really pleased with the numbers, but I just feel it's not quite there. It's not quite there compared to your Cobra DS Adapt LS, compared to, say, any sort of tailor-made LS, well, not any, obviously, if you're going too far back, but, your QI35 LS, which I haven't got my hands on yet, need to before the end of this year, or maybe next year, actually, because it'll be nice and cheap next year, because I'll bring out a new model. But, your pings, LSTs, all these really low spin absolute monsters. I mean, just looking at it, the Cobra LTDX LS5 felt they had a little bit more than this. And that was a few years old. The Strixon ZXi LS probably spot on with this, to be fair. But, there's just... From all the low spin drivers that I've tried, and I have tried a lot, I tend to try more low spin than probably the core models. Probably be aiming more for the core models. But anyway, the Paradigm Triple Diamond, the AI Smoke Triple Diamond, I'm pretty sure I tried that one. Check out my reviews. Not completely sure off the top of my head, but I have done a Triple Diamond, and they just feel like they're going to go a little bit further. I feel like if I went out and got the brand new Callaway Elite Triple Diamond, if I struck that out in the middle, I know it's going to go further than this. And you can see all the sort of other reviews as well says that. If I go out and get the QI35 LS, I feel like it's going to go further than this. If I go and get the Ping G440 LST, maybe not, maybe on par on this, because they're not built for huge distance. If I go and get the Titleist GT3 or the GT4, probably going to go a little bit further than this. I had the TSR4, did a review of that the other day. Went a little bit further than this. I think I nearly got that 300 mark. God, I really need to go back and watch my old videos myself, I think. I can't remember half of them. But anyway, so many reviews I do nowadays. Can't remember exactly the figures. But, basically, this was just a little bit shy. I was hoping to get the ball speed up to 165, hoping to closely get over that 290 mark. But I didn't quite do it. So, for distance-wise, I'm giving it a 4.5, which is great. Really isn't that bad at all. For me, any LS driver, newer LS driver, needs to be in that 4.5 bracket. Anything below that 4.5 bracket, it's not performing in my eyes how it should, because these are the bombers. These are the ones that are supposed to be at the top for distance. So yeah, 4.5, fantastic. I just can't put it in the same category as the Cobras at the moment and your TaylorMade and your Callaways, which for a majority of them, especially their low spin models, will be in that 5 category and have been when I've got my hands to test them. I mean, that Cobra DS Adapt LS was just an absolute monster when struck well, really was. I think that was the first club I ever got over 300, because I've been increasing my ball speed this year, increasing my swing pound. I think that was the first club I ever got over 300 yards at the range with. And then the QI35 drank quite a bit, the core one. But it just, yeah, I just feel like it just doesn't quite match them. But it is still really good. And as I mentioned, same distance as I say, the ZXi LS model from Strixon, which is a fantastic club. Go and try that out. It's probably the same as your Pings as well, But for me, it's not quite up there with the big monsters, your long drive champions. Not quite there, but nothing wrong with it. 4.5 is very good, and maybe on another day, maybe would have snuck up into that 5 category. So plenty of distance in this club, don't get me wrong, but for raw power, I just don't think it can match those Cobras or TaylorMades out there. The LS models, obviously, the core models, yes, 100%. Feel wise, the same as the core, not like an amazing feel. 3.5 out of 5, generally happy with it. But I could tell relatively when my miss hits were, but it felt quite sort of maybe dull, maybe not quite as powerful. And obviously moving that weight at the front definitely changes the feel as well. So 3.5, not bad, not the end of the world, but not up in the sort of the Cobras. The TaylorMade's a bit different because it's a very different feel with that, you know, that carbon fiber face. But your Titleist's, you know, for me, Cobra, Titleist and Mizuno's make some of the best feeling drivers. So it's not quite there, but 3.5 is not bad at all. Definitely enjoyed the sound. It was more just a dull feeling. I like a little bit more excitement off my face, and for this it just felt quite a little bit dull. Looks 4.5 out of 5. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. Maybe just the rounded bottom there, it's not quite to my eye if I'm looking at it there, but overall that head shape looking down at it is gorgeous, and so is the head cover. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5. Now on to forgiveness. So forgiveness for me, I'm giving this a 3 out of 5, and that's really with the weight at the back. Maybe if the, yeah, 3 out of 5. You know, there were some drop-offs, as I mentioned. You know, there's a lot around that 280 mark, and you know, on average is 277, because you know, 264 there, another one 268, 265. You know, there were quite a few that suddenly, you know, the ball speed dropped off. Also control, this is an LS version. You know, I hit this one off here, you know, which my normal shot normally comes around, but because obviously the MOI is not as high as other clubs, you know, it did just shoot right. It didn't sort of give me that draw because the face wasn't as stable. But out the middle, great. And you can obviously relatively miss the middle and everything like that and still get away with it. So not the end of the world, but 3 out of 5. Obviously, moving that back weight to the front, you will have even less forgiveness. So be aware with that. But then if you're doing that, I'm assuming it's because you want maximum distance. There you go. So yeah, 3 out of 5. Not the end of the world, and not bad for an LS model, to be fair. You know, all these sort of modern LS models now are pretty forgiving for what they are. And this definitely sort of keeps that on track. So yeah, 3 out of 5, not bad at all. Now on to price. So price of these is quite good. So, and this is the thing about Wilson at the moment, they are coming in a little bit lower, and you're still getting premium shafts. You know, I know you get Ventus in these. What have I got at the moment in this? The Ling shaft, you know, UST, no decent shaft. Cobra used these a while back. I actually quite enjoyed this shaft, to be fair. Normally I don't, but I did actually quite enjoy it. Probably because my swing speed's gone up. Maybe that's why. Because a lot of shafts last year I did not enjoy. This year I'm actually enjoying quite nicely. Hazardous is one of them, to be fair. Obviously that swing speed comes up, means that I work better with these low spin shafts. But yeah, you get the premium components in it. And as I mentioned, in the UK at the moment, most stores are selling this for £449. In the US, it's about $549. Now, comparing that to your Pings, to your TaylorMades, which are £529. Obviously, the TaylorMade will drop down next year. I'm pretty sure Wilson run on a 2-year cycle. So I'm not too sure this is going to be replaced next year. I don't know if they've changed it, though, because I know the recent... Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a 2-year cycle. It's a 2-year cycle. So imagine this will be replaced back end of next year. So this will, you know, you'll still have this next year, which I prefer. I think churning out golf clubs year on year out, you know, take your time, really maximize that golf club and release it, you know. Don't just keep on churning them out every year. Personally, I prefer the Titleist's. I prefer your Mizuno's. I prefer your Strixons, you know. I prefer your Wilsons potentially, your Pings, you know. Keep them just one every 2 years. Perfect. Thank you. Amazing. So there you go. But yeah, your Pings, your TaylorMade's £529, your GT's £579. So it does come in cheaper than the others, about £70–80 cheaper, you know. And you could buy this, go and get yourself a lesson, and then potentially hit this better than you would have done with another one. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. The reason I haven't given it any higher than that is because obviously you can go and get in QI 10s cheaper than this now. All sort of last year models are still out there, still on sale. You're probably going to get fitted for that at cheaper than this. So that's why I'm giving it higher. But for a brand new club, 3.5 is very good because it is in that little bit of a cheaper price point. All right, guys, so there's my review of the Wilson Dynapwr LS driver. Really happy with it, really pleased with it. It is exactly what I needed to do. It looks gorgeous, feeling maybe a little bit off for me, but that's definitely a personal thing. Some of you guys might try this and absolutely love the feel of it. Distance, bags and bags of it. Forgiveness enough for what you need to do, and maybe a little bit more as well. and obviously you've got all the adjustability as well. So I think an absolute star of a driver, just like the Wilson Dynapwr Core as well. All right, guys, now I hope you enjoyed this review. Do comment down below, you know, have you played Wilson drivers before? If you have, what are your thoughts about them? And would you try the new Dynapwrs? I'd be really interested to know. Obviously, do give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And do remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on weekly ACS Golf reviews and more. And as always, apologies for how long this video is, but I always say if you ever see a really long review from me, it's because I love the club. And to be honest, regardless of the feel of it, I still absolutely love this club. I think it's an absolute bomber. Good fun. All right, guys, I'll catch you soon for the next ACS Golf review. See you then.